Meet a rancher in Arizona who lives right near the border.
I'm sure he's having a great time right now.
His name is John Ladd, and he did an interview with Daily Mail, giving a first-person perspective of what life is like on the border, and also, since he's been witnessing various degrees of chaos on his property over the last 30 years, he has some broad perspective on how things have changed versus how they used to be.
Well, we've had in the 30 years it's been bad. We had 17 dead ones. So, most of them are weather, either heat or cold. Some of them are heart attacks. Some of them are sick. Probably the worst one was 2 bodies ago. My 8-year-old grandson was the one that ended up saying, "Grandpa, there's something dead over there, and it isn't a cow." We shouldn't have to look over our shoulder living where we live. My pair of my cowboy boots stolen off my front porch a week ago. So, I mean, that's how it is. That's how it's been for 35 years. You got to have everything locked up. You can't leave anything out. Well, you got to pay attention. We're not scared, and we know what we're going to do if we're confronted. Kids, grandkids, wives, everybody. We have 4 miles of Obama's wall, and it's 18 feet tall. And it's pretty much the same design, but Trump's is 30 feet. Well, the Border Patrol's caught 500,000 illegals on our ranch in 30 years. The difference is they were poor peasant-type people. The cartel didn't have anything to do with them, and they were coming here to better their life. There were 9 different places on the ranch that they all went through. So Border Patrol could be there and apprehend them. And with Biden's deal, they're 3 to 5 in a group, and they're everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's an old trail, new trail. If they think they can get through, they're going.
What are they cutting this with?
A settling torch and double jacks and chisels. Pretty common spot for having the ballard cut. And these are the dates of repair: 212, 220, 226, 227. All this year, 2020.
Pointing to portions of the fence that got cut so that people could come in. They got repaired, then got cut again, then repaired, cut again, then repaired, and they put the dates on the repairs.
Oh, that's right.
Just to show the frequency of it.
With chalk, yeah.
Interesting perspective from rancher John Ladd, especially against the backdrop of an announcement that Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs made yesterday. The Arizona legislature passed legislation, send it to her desk, similar to the legislation that was passed in Texas and signed by Governor Abbott, that would make illegally crossing the border into Arizona a state-level offense.
Right.
There is such a thing as trespassing. So you don't have to even necessarily sort of invoke the illegality from an immigration perspective. You could just do it domestically, more pedestrian fashion, trespassing. But anyway, she's not having any of it, and she took to social media with an explanation of her veto.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I stated last week, anti-immigrant legislation to score cheap political points has no place in our state. Today, I'm delivering on my promise, and I am vetoing Senate Bill 1231. This bill does not secure our border. On the contrary, it will be harmful for communities and businesses in our state and a burden for law enforcement personnel. I know there's frustration by the federal government's failure to secure our border, but this bill is not the solution. It's for these reasons I will veto Senate Bill 1231.
She sounds like she's on Shark Tank. And for this reason, I am not going to invest in your product. And I'm not going to secure the border, make things safe for that rancher who you just heard from.
It's not going to make it safe, right, for Arizona residents. It's anti-immigrant, is it? Just a couple of quick stories, just to update it, make it real. Illegal migrant on terror watch list arrested at Eagle Pass, Texas, days before the Trump and Biden visits. That word is out from CBP to the media, Colombian, associated with some designated terrorist organization that made his way into the country through Texas. So you could understand the sensitivity that Greg Abbott and legislators there have to the issue, not to mention residents. Oh, and then this one, too, a nursing student in Athens, Georgia. How about a Washington State trooper? Christopher Gadd, 27-year-old dad of a 2-year-old girl, was killed by a Mexican national in this country illegally. On May 3rd of 2013, he was driving on a suspended license. May 16th of 2013, marijuana possession. On October 6th of 2014, driving with suspended license. May 14th of 2019, domestic violence assault case in King County. Seattle Enforcement and Removal Operations first made contact with this individual in 2013 following his arrest for failure to appear for driving with a suspended license. And more than a decade later, he was still there. He was drinking. He was smoking weed. He ran into the state trooper's car that was on the side of the road, off the road, and killed him. Now he's in custody for vehicular homicide. That's real. Just like the case of Laken Riley and so many others. That's real. All of those, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that because it's anti-immigrant and it's anti-this and it will do nothing to enhance safety. Right. All of the rationalizations to defend the status quo and turn a blind eye to any criticism of de facto open borders policies. That's certainly part of the conversation, should be, with respect to the Cook County State's Attorney's race, as we've talked about all the time. Preventable crime, both foreign and domestic, people in this country illegally, as well as, of course, American citizens. Preventable crime. That's the order of the day. Certainly first priority. Repeat violent offenders, people who shouldn't be here. Let's see if we can do something about those cohorts. I don't think there's much disagreement, but there also doesn't seem to be much action. For more on that, we're pleased to be joined by a former Chicago Alderman and Republican candidate for Cook County State's Attorney. He'll be on the ballot on March 19th and then again in November. He's Bob Fioretti. Bob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thanks, Jan.
So what about that? As Cook County State's Attorney, you even have Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, saying, we kind of need a carve-out in our sanctuary city designation to get to work with ICE to remove people who are convicted of violent crimes. I mean, what could you do as Cook County State's Attorney to address, both sides of it? Obviously, the endemic violent crime in Chicago committed by American citizens is one category, but this other category that is on the rise because of the policies that are in effect in the city and the county and the state.
Well, I'm going to cooperate with the ICE and other federal agencies at this point. I think it's critical that we bring down the crime here in the city of Chicago. I'm running to restore the mission of the office to represent the victims of crime, restore a rule of law, and break this whole cycle of crime and corruption that we see here in the county and in the city of Chicago. And I see what's happening. People that follow crime in Wrigleyville and Boys Town see the number of migrants that have been repeat offenders. The number of Venezuelan ones that were arrested from January 1st to November 11th of last year were 680 some. I don't remember the exact number, but around that. The year before that, it was only in the 20s, and the year before that, it was less than 10. So something's going on here that we are allowing lawbreakers to come in. We need to restore discretion to judges to look at people's backgrounds, which is not happening with this migrant crisis. The amount of illegals that are coming into this country are showing us that they don't care what a background is on some of these people that have been flooding from the prisons in Venezuela. I will tell you a short story. I've spoken to probably 50 to 60 Hispanic pastors. None of them will take in any of these migrants from this so-called man-made, Biden-made crisis. And I have been approached by Venezuelan pastors who all are here legally and have told me, stay away from those folks. They are members of the cartel that are coming in from Venezuela. They're drug smugglers, they're human traffic smugglers, and they're dangerous to our own society. Now, that's coming from Hispanic pastors.
Right. And
So,
and what happened in Oak Brook when they arrested those 5 Venezuelans, they were not laughing or smiling. They couldn't stop laughing while they were being arrested for shoplifting because they knew they'd get out. And what happened? They got out right away. So they're laughing at us.
So if police arrest somebody for committing a crime and they're a Venezuelan national, just to use this as an example, could be anywhere, Venezuelan national here illegally, and connected to Tren de Aragua gang, despite what Brandon Johnson wants, what the city resolution on Sanctuary City says, you're gonna talk to ICE, you're gonna work with ICE and say, we got this guy, you want him. Well, and you'll respect ICE detainers as state's attorney?
Well, I'm going to have to obey the law, and I'm going to follow the law. And those that are breaking the law should face all of the consequences that are of the law. We can deal with their sentencing later, but right now, those that break the law, we will charge them under my administration. As simple as that. And whatever we need to do to protect the citizens of this county and the surrounding counties, because these folks and everybody goes, they try to get into other areas. They're trying to come back into Chicago. No, that we have to put the law down, and the law is the law, and I will make sure that we enforce it, and all of our prosecutors enforce it, and we work with the police. We have and not just the Chicago Police Department, but all the police departments that affect the county and the suburbs.
What about, so now on the endemic side, the domestic side, American citizens, the repeat offenders that get turnstiled out, one crime after the other by the incumbent prosecutor and a lot of the Cook County judges, combined with, thanks in part now to the codification of her policies, the Pritzker Purge Law. Well, what can you do to ensure or to be more aggressive that people who pose a threat to the public, repeat violent offenders, or even first-time violent offenders, depending on the particular alleged crime, are held over for trial and are not in a position where they can commit crimes while awaiting trial, as we have seen happen so many times, preventable crime in the city and the county?
Well, when you say preventable crime, the Democrats love the revolving door, and you go in one and you come right out immediately. No, we have to put an end to this. We have to charge them fully. It is unfortunate, and some of they drop the charges or they refuse to charge the individuals with the crimes, and we need to have a longer, harder look at everything that's available, all of the tools that are in the box, on making sure that we can go after those that break the law and not drop charges against individuals just to take a plea so they can keep right on going and keep committing their crimes.
Okay, well, that said, I mean, they asked the 2 other Democratic candidates about Fox's current threshold of $1,000 to be charged with a felony, during these smash and grabs. What say you? Is it going to be $300 or $1,000?
Or how about $1? How about a cent? No threshold.
Well, I wish we could have no threshold, but it's $300. That's what the law says. I am going to enforce the law up and down. I am not going to take the Weasley way out, as I've heard from the Democratic candidates, and say, oh, you know what, but we're going to look at their record, we're going to look at this. You know what? No, we charge them, and then we'll deal with what we need to do in court.
The Cook County jail population...
We're fooling around.
Well, the Cook County jail
really, seriously.
Well, Cook County jail population. Tony Preckwinkle. I mean, this was as Charles Thomas, our friend, always mentions. He remembers from when she first campaigned for Cook County Board President. Her goal was to reduce the Cook County jail population by any means necessary, and that's happened. And so,
Yeah, well,
and you know, if you try to increase it, that she's going to fight you on budget and so on and so forth. So, what's your plan there? I mean, there's the space, and there's certainly the parties who've qualified. So the fight between the fight that would happen between you and Preckwinkle if you try to increase the daily population in Cook County Jail and hold more people over for trial.
Well, I'm well aware of that problem. The leadership of Cook County has tried to balance this whole budget by shutting down the jail and letting these criminals run loose without regard to all of the citizens' public safety. And people have to stand up and start looking at what's on the ballot and saying no to all these Democratic candidates and enforce this kind of social service philosophy. It's time to have accountability and making sure that everything's transparent instead of being secretive as the Democrats do. Let's not forget, the Safety Act was amended late in the middle of the night. They dropped all these additional pages, and they passed it at, 3 in the morning. Who's kidding who? Who read that? Nobody. And now they're all having misgivings? Come on. Start doing their job.
So what's your take on the two candidates, one of whom will emerge on March 19th to face you in the general election, Eileen Burke, who's a Cook County judge, and Clayton Harris, who's, an attorney. Give us your description of those two and the choice that voters will have in the general.
Well, it's Kim Foxx on steroids and Kim Foxx light. Simple as that. There's very little difference between them. They both want, simple. Nothing else more to say.
Which is which? I assume Clayton Harris is Kim Foxx on steroids and Burke is Kim Foxx light.
Good assumption, and you're correct.
What do we know? What do we know about Eileen Burke's time on the bench?
You know what? People are researching that, looking at what. Being on the bench doesn't mean she's never fought for the people. She's never fought for the citizens of Cook County. She's never tried to pass legislation. She's never worked with the federal, state, or local governments or suburbs like I have. So what is she bringing to us? That she was put up, that she decided all of a sudden to step down, gain a fairly substantial pension as she's campaigning, over $200,000, and then say, "Oh yes, I'm really concerned about the citizens of this city. I love this city." Well, I do too. Where have you been in the fights that we've had to do on fiscal responsibility, on family values, on making sure that our streets are safe and are clean? Where have these both been, Johnny-come-latelys?
He is Bob Fioretti, former two-term Chicago Alderman, 2nd Ward, and 2nd Ward Democrat committeeman, now Republican candidate for Cook County State's Attorney. Bob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always good to be here. Thank you both.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.